George V, George Frederick Ernest Albert, June 3, 1865, January 20, 1936, was King of the United Kingdom and the British Dominions, and Emperor of India, from May 6, 1910 until his death in 1936. Born during the reign of his grandmother Queen Victoria, George was third in the line of succession behind his father, Prince Albert Edward, and his own elder brother, Prince Albert Victor. From 1877 to 1892, George served in the Royal Navy, until the unexpected death of his elder brother in early 1892 put him directly in line for the throne. On the death of Victoria in 1901, George's father ascended the throne as Edward VII, and George was created Prince of Wales. He became King Emperor on his father's death in 1910. George V's reign saw the rise of socialism, communism, fascism, Irish republicanism, and the Indian independence movement, all of which radically changed the political landscape of the British Empire. The Parliament Act 1911 established the supremacy of the elected British House of Commons over the unelected House of Lords. As a result of the First World War, 1914 to 1918, the empires of his first cousins Nicholas II of Russia and Wilhelm II of Germany fell, while the British Empire expanded to its greatest effective extent. In 1917, George became the first monarch of the House of Windsor, which he renamed from the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha as a result of anti-German public sentiment. In 1924 he appointed the first Labour Ministry, and in 1931 the Statute of Westminster recognized the dominions of the Empire as separate, independent states within the British Commonwealth of Nations. He had smoking-related health problems throughout much of his later reign, and at his death was succeeded by his eldest son, Edward VIII. George was born on June 3, 1865, in Marlborough House, London. He was the second son of Albert Edward, Prince of Wales, and Alexandra, Princess of Wales. His father was the eldest son of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, and his mother was the eldest daughter of King Christian IX and Queen Louise of Denmark. He was baptized at Windsor Castle on July 7, 1865 by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Charles Longley. 1. As a younger son of the Prince of Wales, there was little expectation that George would become king. He was third in line to the throne, after his father and elder brother, Prince Albert Victor. George was only 17 months younger than Albert Victor, and the two princes were educated together. John Neil Dalton was appointed as their tutor in 1871. Neither Albert Victor nor George excelled intellectually. 2. As their father thought that the Navy was the very best possible training for any boy. 3. In September 1877, when George was 12 years old, both brothers joined the cadet training ship HMS Britannia at Dartmouth, Devon. 4. For 3 years from 1879, the royal brothers served on HMS Bacchante, accompanied by Dalton. They toured the colonies of the British Empire in the Caribbean, South Africa, and Australia, and visited Norfolk, Virginia, as well as South America, the Mediterranean, Egypt, and East Asia. In 1881, on a visit to Japan, George had a local artist tattoo a blue and red dragon on his arm. 5. And was received in an audience by the Emperor Meiji. George and his brother presented Empress Haruko with 2 wallabies from Australia. 6. Dalton wrote an account of their journey entitled The Cruise of HMS Bacchante. 7. Between Melbourne and Sydney, Dalton recorded a sighting of the Flying Dutchman, a mythical ghost ship. 8. When they returned to Britain, the Queen complained that her grandsons could not speak French or German, and so they spent 6 months in Lausanne in an ultimately unsuccessful attempt to learn another language. 9. After Lausanne, the brothers were separated. Albert Victor attended Trinity College, Cambridge, while George continued in the Royal Navy. He traveled the world, visiting many areas of the British Empire. During his naval career he commanded torpedo boat 79 in home waters, then HMS Thrush on the North America Station, before his last active service in command of HMS Melampus in 1891-92. From then on, his naval rank was largely honorary. 10. As a young man destined to serve in the Navy, Prince George served for many years under the command of his uncle, Prince Alfred, Duke of Edinburgh, who was stationed in Malta. There, he grew close to and fell in love with his cousin, Princess Marie of Edinburgh. His grandmother, father and uncle all approved the match, but his mother and aunt, the Princess of Wales and Maria Alexandrovna, Duchess of Edinburgh, opposed it. The Princess of Wales thought the family was too pro-German, and the Duchess of Edinburgh disliked England. The Duchess, the only daughter of Alexander II of Russia, resented the fact that, as the wife of a younger son of the British sovereign, she had to yield precedence to George's mother, the Princess of Wales, whose father had been a minor German prince before being called unexpectedly to the throne of Denmark. Guided by her mother, Marie refused George when he proposed to her. She married Ferdinand, the future King of Romania, in 1893. 11. In November 1891, George's elder brother, Albert Victor, became engaged to his second cousin once removed Princess Victoria Mary of Teck, known as May within the family. 12. Her parents were Prince Francis, Duke of Teck, a member of a morganatic, cadet branch of the House of Württemberg, and Princess Mary Adelaide of Cambridge, a male-line granddaughter of King George III and a first cousin of Queen Victoria. 13. On January 14, 1892, 6 weeks after the formal engagement, Albert Victor died of pneumonia, leaving George second in line to the throne, and likely to succeed after his father. George had only just recovered from a serious illness himself, after being confined to bed for 6 weeks with typhoid fever, the disease that was thought to have killed his grandfather Prince Albert. 14. Queen Victoria still regarded Princess May as a suitable match for her grandson, and George and May grew close during their shared period of mourning. 15. A year after Albert Victor's death, George proposed to May and was accepted. They married on July 6, 1893 at the Chapel Royal in St. James's Palace, London. Throughout their lives, they remained devoted to each other. George was, on his own admission, unable to express his feelings easily in speech, but they often exchanged loving letters and notes of endearment. 16. The death of his elder brother effectively ended George's naval career, as he was now second in line to the throne, after his father. 17. George was created Duke of York, Earl of Inverness and Baron Killarney by Queen Victoria on May 24, 1892. 18. And received lessons in constitutional history from J.R. Tanner. 19.